Morning, guys, and welcome back to I Like Watches. Yeah, this is definitely going to take some getting used to, but I got to say, I'm really pleased with the sound quality improvement. I listened back to the first video I filmed with this microphone many times, as you would expect, especially through editing. And the difference is pretty significant, isn't it? So, yeah, I'm pleased with the change. And there's been a few more changes. As you can see, the walls behind me are a sort of dark charcoal color. I think the shelves and the clock stand out a little bit more against that darker color. And the LED lights actually show up better on it as well. And I've moved the microphone arm over to the left-hand side because Chris was complaining that it obscures the view of my shelves. So a nice bit of feedback from him. Yeah, it's quite weird sitting in front of this thing and making sure my mouth is within 6 inches of it. I'm still waiting for Chris to send me some inappropriately edited pictures of me with this thing in front of my mouth. But anyway, yeah, it is actually a bit of a security blanket. It's weird when you're sat in front of a camera like this and you're just talking and there's nothing between you and the camera. It feels quite confronting, but having this between you and I, it's like a little security blanket. It really does make a difference. I feel like I could sit here and just chat all day. Yeah, that's bad news, isn't it? That means potentially a lot more waffle. Anyway, I'm going to try and avoid waffling for too long. Today, we're going to be taking a look at a new San Martin. And this one is really interesting because it houses a movement that I've never seen before. I don't think I've ever seen it in any watch available on AliExpress. And in fact, I don't think I ever recall seeing a watch with this movement in it. It is the Miyota 9120. It is a sort of calendar automatic movement, 9000 series as well. So you know it's going to be a fairly premium movement. A premium price for this San Martin, given you know their prices are generally on the higher end of the scale for AliExpress watches, but also with this movement inside it. Of course, you know the watch is going to cost, I should say, a little bit more than your average San Martin watch from AliExpress. But yeah, with this movement inside it, a very interesting proposition. So in this video, I'm going to do all the usual stuff, head over to the light box, show you the swatch in a bit more detail. If I miss any specifications out, head down to the video description because I will include all of them in there, hopefully. Right, here we go then. I'm not going to make you wait around to see the watch any longer because the introduction was, well, longer than I intended it to be. There's quite a few polished surfaces on this watch though, so it's nice to start with it at least at the beginning, thumbprint free. Quite a lot going on with that dial, and you can see there's a toothpick out, so there's a button on the side that we're going to play with in a minute. Yeah, really interesting movement actually. I was very pleasantly surprised when I saw the listing on AliExpress and saw that there was a Miyota 9000 series movement inside this, because when I saw all those complications on the dial, initially I thought, oh dear, what movement is going to be inside this watch? I thought it was going to be a more affordable clone movement. So yeah, when I read that it was the actual Miyota 9120, really pleasantly surprised. I think that is a really interesting movement to see in a watch by San Martin. Now, San Martin have produced other watches in this style. It's not my favorite style of watch. I'm not wildly enthusiastic about the sort of double crown guard appearance with this watch. Of course, it is a homage watch, so it's paying homage to a watch that already exists, that has been created by a different brand, and seemingly a fairly popular style of watch, but just one that I'm not that fascinated by. But as you would expect, San Martin have executed it very nicely. They really are masters of finishing steel. They are definitely the best steel finishers on AliExpress. The level of finishing that they offer is comparable to micro brands and Swiss-made watches up to £1,000, £1,500, maybe even more. They really do put a lot of time and effort into their steel finishing. Occasionally, you see complaints about their finishing just being too crisp, some of the corners perhaps being a touch too sharp. I generally don't experience it, but yeah, their corners are not necessarily rounded and soft and forgiving, if you like. They are going for generally a very crisp, precise finish. Nice dial as well, some detail on the dial, some horizontal patterns. You've got applied indices, nicely finished hands. I suspect the loom is pretty decent. We'll check that out in a moment. Printed logo under the 12. Yeah, it's nice, isn't it? The case back is a screwed on case back, so it's not a screwed down case back. There's 4 screws, 1 in each corner. And the crown is a screw down crown, 100 meters of water resistance. You'll get all the usual specifications with this watch: sapphire, crystal, AR coating, solid end links, solid links, screw pins, milled clasp. It is a butterfly clasp, no ability to offer any micro adjustment, but the links are actually not too long. There's no half links or third links or 2/3 links in this bracelet. So yeah, you are going to have to make do with adjusting the size using full links. But on the whole, I tend to get a fairly decent fit. Here's a loom shot there, and the loom application looks pretty decent on the hands and on the applied indices. You've got loom filled applied indices, so I suspect the strength is going to match that of the hands. Blue BGW9, yeah, typical covering by San Martin, very nice. Right, let's give you some dimensions. It's going to appear, I think, rather large, given those protruding elements on the sides of the case, 43 millimeters in diameter, but if we just measure the bezel, it's going to be 38 millimeters. Total thickness is 12 millimeters, which is a surprise. It feels quite chunky and heavy, actually, and given all the complications on the dial, I would have expected it to be a bit thicker than that, actually. So yeah, that's better than I was expecting. Case length is 46.5. Not much point in measuring the lug width because the bracelet is essentially integrated, but it tapers from 23.5 millimeters down to 17.8, so a lot of taper on this bracelet. And set up for my wrist, it now weighs 165 grams, so yeah, quite a chunky watch. Right, well, I've got my toothpick at the ready, so let me show you how this movement works. If you push this button here, you're going to advance the complication at the 3 o'clock by 1 month every time you push it. So yeah, that is useful. You're not going to have to scroll through the month or the date complication to change the months. We are in January, so let me change this to January. Now, if we undo the screw down crown, we're in position 0, which is the position you would be in to hand wind the movements. If we pull it out to position 1, and turn the crown in a clockwise position, you will be advancing the date. If you turn it in an anti-clockwise position, you'll be advancing the day at the 9 o'clock. Pull the crown out to position 2 and you can adjust the time, and that is linked to the complication at the 6 o'clock because it is a 24-hour complication. So yeah, whatever you move the time to on the dial, it will match in the complication at the 6. So yeah, not that useful, that one, but yeah, that is fairly simple in the end, actually. Well, can you believe it? I was in the process of editing the footage that I've just taken over at the Lightbox, and there was a knock at the door. It was Mr. FedEx. He had another San Martin for me, and this time it's turned up in their new packaging. So I think I'm going to head back over to the Lightbox now and take this watch out of this new packaging so that we can have a good look at, well, the new packaging, and then we'll get back to yeah, taking a look at this watch. Well, the first thing I can tell you is it's definitely smaller, quite a bit smaller, actually. That's not a bad thing. The plastic tubs were well, they protected the watch very well, but they were just quite big, weren't they? Now you're getting a cardboard outer box, and then inside you're getting, according to the listing, because they are selling this packaging as a sort of travel case on its own, genuine leather travel case, some tools, and what looks like the usual paperwork, warranty card and all that sort of stuff in there. Now, interestingly, on the official store, they're selling this as a blue case or a black case individually, but it looks like the watches are going to come in a green case. Nice double zip opener. Yeah, it does seem like a nice quality case. Let me get one of the original tubs, actually, and we can do a quick size comparison. Well, I've had to zoom out a little bit to get them both in, but as you can see, it's definitely quite a bit smaller, isn't it? I don't suspect it's going to save any money on shipping because the weight is going to be roughly the same. I think might be a little bit lighter, but yeah, it's just going to take up less space in your cupboards and drawers, and actually it does seem like a nice quality travel pouch or case. Right, let's pull this particular watch out then. This looks like another SN0034. Oh wow, that is a very padded cushion, a sort of, well, interesting shape, isn't it? Slightly thinner in the middle, and a very sort of fluffy, velvety feeling finish on the inside. So yeah, I'm impressed with that. Now this particular watch is another SN034. It feels a little bit chunkier than the previous SN034 watches that I've seen, because this one houses the Epson YN55A automatic movement. It is CUSN8 bronze. Yeah, another option when it comes to this sort of military style pilot watch. Very affordable range of watches that San Martin are offering, and they're obviously expanding this range further with this new variation. It is a new release, 100 meters of water resistance look. Nice to be able to show you, I guess, a second watch. A bit of a surprise, wasn't expecting to shoehorn this little section into this video, but yeah, didn't want to miss out on the opportunity to show you the packaging now that I've got some in my hands. Right, let's get back to summarizing the SN075 watch that, well, is the main focus of this video. This SN0075 is an interesting watch, and really good to see San Martin using another version of the Miyota 9000 series automatic movement. They have priced this watch accordingly. $360, 350 euros. That's about 310 pounds. I'm not so sure how many units are going to sell. It looks like they've already sold 8 units. The watch has been around for a few weeks. My concern is that maybe they might not sell too many, or enough units, I should say, at this price point to justify using movements like this, which is a real shame, because one thing AliExpress needs is more variety when it comes to the watches, more variety in the movements being used. So you have to give San Martin a huge amount of credit for exploring different movements. But yeah, I worry that this particular movement is not going to be a popular one. You know, not that many people want watches with 3 subdials giving you a 24-hour indicator, a day indicator, and a month indicator. But still, you know, really good to see this movement option available. It's a shame, because when you look at all the individual elements that come together to make this watch, on paper it does represent fantastic value for money, but San Martin are also offering a huge amount of options now, which is also going to work against them, because if you've got $350 to spend on a watch and you want a San Martin, you are now spoilt for choice. There's a lot of watches in that price range just within the San Martin catalogue, if you like. So yeah, another reason why this watch might not sell in huge numbers. Let me know, guys, what you think of this watch. And yeah, a long video today. I've shoehorned quite a few bits into this video, so apologies for it being probably by now close to 15 minutes long. That's quite unusual for me, but maybe it's the new microphone. There is something really nice about sitting behind this microphone, I got to say. It does feel quite relaxing. I might start filming some ASMR videos. Hey guys, and welcome back to I Like Watches. Now I'll just stick to watch reviews, I think. Alright guys, take care, look after yourselves. You'll see me again very, very soon.